Okay, President Biden is ready to trade the world stage for a glitzy Hollywood gala, sending Vice President Kamala Harris to Switzerland for a peace conference on Ukraine while he meets with those celebrities.
Doesn't it look a bit bad for the president to be skipping this peace summit for Ukraine and going to a glitzy Hollywood event instead?
No matter who represents the United States, and oh, by the way, the vice president is representing the United States of America at this summit, it can't be said that the United States has in any way walked away from supporting Ukraine.
Well, here to react is co-host of Outnumbered and former White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany. Hey, Kayleigh.
Hey, good to join you.
That reporter makes a good point. Doesn't it look bad when you're skipping this peace conference that Zelensky has been begging you to go to Hollywood, hang out with celebrities instead?
Yes, I would argue before you're the Democratic nominee, you are the commander-in-chief, first and foremost, your most important job. And he's not going. He's sending Kamala Harris. Does that instill faith in anyone? She's been dispatched to Europe several times amid the Ukraine war. I would argue she just makes the problem worse. So I don't know who I'd rather have, the man who freezes, as we saw at the White House this week, or Kamala Harris. Neither are good.
What does this tell you? Because he could have said, y'all move it to another date. This peace conference is very important to the United States and to me. Let's move that to another date. We can fundraise later. Or is he panicking? Is he saying, wow, Donald Trump's making a ton of money right now after the conviction. I need to keep up and I need to win.
Bingo. He's on defense. I mean, in 24 hours after the verdict for Trump to raise $53 million, the people who do this for a living, New York Times fundraisers who cover campaign fundraising, all came out and said this blows records. They're shocked by what they saw. Biden feels he's on defense, not only in the polls, but in the money game as well.
And you see Donald Trump on Logan's podcast interacting with the younger voters. He's going out to Hollywood to talk to elites who have gazillion dollars in their bank account. Is that relatable?
No. And, you know, Emily Compagno made this point earlier in the week. I think it's a great one. The Clooneys represent kind of an old Hollywood. Logan and these podcasters, this is the new fame that Gen Z's appealing to, that Gen Z's tuning into. And that's where Trump is. He's meeting voters where they are and bringing a fun message. And he's out on TikTok, which is a great thing.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Now, there's word after he goes to that Hollywood event, he's going to go and hunker down at Camp David and prepare for the debate for 10 days. We're not going to hear from him or see him, allegedly.
Yeah, we're not going to see him. This was reporting in the AP. We'll see. They said the plans are still up for change. But what I'm really curious about, Ainsley, his debate team, I don't think they know what they're up against. They're counting on Trump to be unhinged and wild, they say. Trump's not that. Trump is disciplined, on message, smart, winning the messaging game, and they're counting on Trump to bring up Hunter Biden. They said that will be the focal point of the debate. He's not going to bring up Hunter Biden.
Will Trump prepare? You worked for him. Will he prepare for the debate?
I think his best preparation is being on the campaign trail. He's going to be in Detroit, Michigan, on the campaign.
Prepares every night, right?
Talking to voters. That's how you prepare. You know, hole yourself up at Camp David. It's not going to compare to being out on the stump talking to voters as Trump does every day.
I hope he's able to hold Joe Biden to the fire when it comes to his record, though, and his policies. So I guess you'd have to prepare for that and know that information.
The best thing Trump could do is ask Biden questions. Biden doesn't know, you know, what day of the week it is. Sometimes you feel like, ask him questions. Put him on defense by going on offense yourself.
Okay. All right, you can watch Kayleigh weekdays on Outnumbered at noon. Thank you.
Thanks, Ainsley.
Have a good weekend, too. It's Friday.
Thank you. You too.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Now let's go to Houston, where a bankruptcy judge has just ordered conspiracy theorist AlexJones to liquidate his personal assets to help pay off the $1.5 billion that he owes the SandyHook families.
Yeah, those families sued Jones for defamation after he called the school shooting a hoax. Now he could be on the brink of losing his InfoWars media platform. NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson joins us now. Ann, it's good to have you here. So talk us through this judge's decision and effectively what does it mean for these families? How soon might they see this money?
That's a good question. We don't have the answer to that, but there are two things the judge is considering today. First of all, could AlexJones liquidate his personal assets? And the judge said, yes, he can. And then secondly, can Free Speech Systems, which is the parent company of InfoWars, can those assets also be liquidated. And that's what they're discussing right now. But what you will find here is there is a real lack of trust between the creditors, the families, and Alex Jones. We heard an attorney, one of the attorneys for the creditors, accuse Jones of backdating documents, moving assets to his family members to try to hide those assets. On the other hand, we heard Jones' attorney say, look, I've got $2.8 million in an escrow account from the sale of his ranch that can go to the families. But that's a drop in the bucket compared to the $1.5 billion they've been awarded.
Yeah, let's run the numbers for that bucket, because according to the court, Alex Jones has $9 million in his personal assets. And then that parent company you mentioned, Free Speeds, they've got $4 million. So that, of course, will not cover the $1.5 billion. So what happens next then?
Right. And one thing that the attorneys for the families made clear in today's hearing is that no matter what Alex Jones does next, because nobody expects him to be quiet or to stay off the airs, they're going to come after him for any earnings he has, any businesses he sets up. He may get rid of what he has now, but his future earnings, they will go after as well. So all of that is...
Hello, everyone. I'm Lindsay Reiser. The Justice Department will not prosecute Attorney General Merrick Garland for contempt of Congress. The DOJ sent a letter to House Speaker Mike Johnson explaining the decision. It follows the passage of the contempt resolution in the House earlier this week. That vote fell along party lines, with only one Republican voting to not hold Garland in contempt. CBS News congressional correspondent Nicole Killian is on Capitol Hill. So, Nicole, walk us through what's in this letter.
Well, basically, the Justice Department is saying that it will not prosecute Merrick Garland for contempt of Congress. As you know, just this week, the House voted primarily on party lines to hold the Attorney General in contempt for failing to comply, in their view, or in House Republicans' view, with a congressional subpoena. And this all stems from these audio recordings of an interview between President Biden and Special Counsel Robert Hur over Biden's handling of classified documents. Lawmakers were already provided a transcript, but House Republicans really wanted that recording because they wanted to see if it was consistent with the transcript. But what the Justice Department is arguing here is that executive privilege was exerted over those recordings, which in their view was legally proper. So therefore, there is not a need to prosecute the Attorney General over this. And furthermore, they say that the Department of Justice did try to accommodate this request from House Republicans, even though they didn't necessarily feel that it was substantive. And even the Attorney General himself argued that in terms of that contempt resolution, that there was no real legitimate purpose behind it. So, the Justice Department, in their view, believes that they have tried to comply with lawmakers' request as best as they can. But at the end of the day, because that executive privilege was exerted over those recordings, then there is no need to prosecute the Attorney General at this time.
So no legitimate purpose is the position of the DOJ. Nicole, is that essentially, is it the idea that Republicans want this because Robert Hur was characterizing the president in a certain way, and that could be damaging, especially if they have the audio? They can sort of use it in a way that could even be used in campaign ads.
Well, that's pretty much the argument that many Democrats were making. They feel that House Republicans were really just pushing this issue for a political gain, because technically speaking, again, they had that transcript of the interview. So for all intents and purposes, they know what was said and they have that information. But, Republicans argued, well, what if they were trying to cover up any gaffes by the president, or, what if they removed something from the transcript that was actually said on tape? That was Republicans' concerns. But again, Democrats argue that that's really just political theater and Republicans trying to exploit the situation on their part. So again, at this time, the Justice Department making clear that it will not prosecute the Attorney General. And really, there has been no precedent set for this. Obviously, Attorney General Garland is not the first Attorney General to be held in contempt of Congress. But to date, we have never seen an Attorney General charged over that. And so once again, the Justice Department kind of staying in line with that precedent of not moving ahead with any charges.
Okay. Nicole Killian, thank you.
You bet.
looked like a beginning to a zombie movie. Just cars littered everywhere on top of sidewalks, in the median, in the middle of the street.
13 years, there's been storms, there's been rain, heavy rain, but never like this. This is extreme.
I don't think I want to stay around here because guess what? It's only going to get worse. And honestly, I don't want anything to happen to myself or my family.
Two very different scenes of extreme weather are impacting areas down south. In South Florida, heavy rainfall is causing unrelenting flooding for a fourth consecutive day. Rain has surpassed 20 inches in several areas. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has declared a state of emergency in 5 counties. Meanwhile, Atlanta finds itself in the center of a heat wave. The city is bracing for temperatures that will tease triple digits this weekend. We have team coverage for the latest on the severe weather across the South. Let's go ahead and begin in Miami with CBS News national correspondent Manuel Bojorquez. So what is the cleanup like? I mean, there's still standing water everywhere. And is the area where you are expecting more rain?
The rain is in the forecast for today and even going into tomorrow. That's the big concern here because even a moderate amount of rainfall would be falling on already saturated soil. Throughout the day, because we haven't had much rain yet today, we've noticed that the water has started to recede in a lot of the neighborhoods that have been impacted. But yes, in pockets like here in this neighborhood in Miami, you still have all this standing water. You can imagine the headache that's causing for homeowners here. The area here, South Florida, remains under a flood watch through tomorrow. But again, the chances of rain remain in the forecast. The hope is that the kind of break we're getting right now remain more consistent, and then people can turn to the cleanup phase.
You've spoken to people in the area. What precautions are they taking? I mean, what does cleanup even begin to look like?
Well, for a lot of them, even if they just got an inch of water in their homes, they got to get that all dried up. They have to look at the drywall, see if there's part of it that needs to be replaced. A lot of people have expressed concern about mold remediation. But remember all those images from midweek, all those cars that were stalled. The worst of the storms, which happened Wednesday, happened during that evening rush hour commute. So you have a lot of cars with damage right now, too. Those are the types of things that people will now be dealing with as we continue to have this looming threat of more showers.
Okay, Manuel Bojorquez, thank you.